On the 17th of March 2023, the ICC, the International Criminal Court, issued a warrant for the arrest of Russian President Vladimir Putin. So what does that mean for him? What is the ICC and how does it work? And finally, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the ICC? So the ICC is based in The Hague in the Netherlands, and it was founded in 2000 after the signing of the Rome Statute. It is historically the only international court that has a jurisdiction for trying individuals for war crimes. So the ICC does not arbitrate between states like, for example, the ICJ does. It is focused on crimes under international law. It has jurisdiction for trying 4 specific international crimes: genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. A lot of the background to the ICC can be found in the Nuremberg trials in 1945-46. After World War II, the international community wanted to put on trial the leading Nazis who had been responsible for unleashing the horrors of the Second World War. And the Nuremberg trials went on for a year. They found some people guilty, some people were executed, a couple of people were acquitted. But they established some really important principles in international law. And perhaps the most important principle was that an individual can be responsible for war crimes. And I was just following orders is not a justification under international law. And the Nuremberg trials also said that state sovereignty was not entirely sacrosanct. That simply because something can happen within a state, it doesn't mean it does not come under international law and cannot be adjudicated on. So cases can be referred to the ICC in 3 different ways. Firstly, they can be referred by the UN Security Council. Secondly, they can be referred by member states. And finally, they can actually be initiated by the ICC directly. And this happened recently in the Philippines when the ICC started investigating alleged crimes by the government regarding the drug war that they are undertaking. So there's an investigation and an arrest warrant may be issued for an individual. That individual then needs to be arraigned, needs to be arrested, brought to court, and then put on trial. Since its inception, 31 cases have been brought before the court. There have been 10 convictions, 4 acquittals, and 17 cases are ongoing. There have been 38 arrest warrants, and 21 people have been detained in the ICC's detention centre, whilst 14 people remain at large. Now, Vladimir Putin is one of them. So Vladimir Putin is a fugitive at large under international law. This map shows the member states of the ICC. So green means they are full member states, they've ratified it, they play an active part within it. And you'll notice from this map there are some very big exceptions. The United States, Russia, China, India. That means 3 of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council are not members of the ICC and do not accept its jurisdiction. And that is a big problem for the ICC. Some of the strengths of the ICC are that it operates under a principle of universal jurisdiction. It says that an international crime, a war crime committed anywhere, can be adjudicated by the ICC. It sets important precedents in international law and creates case law to add to the body of international law. It's independent from state governments, which can add it a legitimacy because it is an international community making a judgment rather than a state body, which might have that inherent bias. And it's complementary to state justice systems. The ICC doesn't want to infringe on the sovereignty of states, so it tries to allow states to deal with these issues themselves first. It will only intervene if states are unable or unwilling to do so. The weakness is, in reality, it does have very limited jurisdiction, and that's mainly because many of the key members of the ICC do not play many members of the global international community do not play a role in the ICC. It has limited arraignment power. The ICC relies on people bringing suspects to court in The Hague, and that just doesn't happen enough because there are so many places in the world who won't arrest someone under an international criminal court arrest warrant. It's perceived to have Western bias. Every single person convicted under the ICC so far has been African, and there's been a definite feeling that potential war crimes committed in the West are ignored, but war crimes committed elsewhere are very much focused on. But the biggest weakness of the ICC is probably its limited membership. How can an international body really have legitimacy, really have an impact, when Russia, China and the United States are not playing an active part? So there are definite strengths to the ICC, but there are real limits too. So how important is this for Vladimir Putin? On a practical level, it's not particularly significant at all. Russia is not a member of the ICC. The Russian government isn't going to hand Vladimir Putin over. Even if there's a coup in Russia and Vladimir Putin is removed, it's extremely unlikely he is going to be handed over. Secondly, he isn't going to be travelling to any countries that are members of the ICC. So he isn't going to go to Britain, he isn't going to go to France, he isn't going to go to Italy. He's going to go to Belarus, who aren't going to hand him over. He's going to go to Kazakhstan, maybe, who aren't going to hand him over. He might go to China, who aren't going to hand him over. So in reality, getting him to The Hague is almost impossible. In addition, kidnap is not lawful. He cannot be kidnapped and taken to The Hague. So, special forces couldn't kidnap him, even if they're able to, and take him to The Hague. Under international law, that is not lawful. However, this is still a huge symbolic moment. There have actually been very few heads of state, full stop, who have been indicted by the ICC, or an arrest warrant has been issued by the ICC. For the president of Russia, one of the world's most significant and powerful countries, to be issued an arrest warrant is a hugely important symbolic moment. It really does set Vladimir Putin up as a pariah in the international community. He is now an outlaw in kind of international law, and this sends a message to the Russian people. Your president, the person in charge of running your state, is wanted for international war crimes. The actual crime that he is wanted for is the forced deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia, which is a war crime. However, the ICC are also investigated a number of other potential war crimes, and the kind of charges against Vladimir Putin might increase as time goes on. So it's going to be interesting to see the kind of reaction to this. The reaction from Russia has been very stern already. Dmitry Medvedev, the Prime Minister, said that this was basically a piece of toilet paper, that this arrest warrant. But the international community has rallied round and said this is the right thing to do, to take this stance and to say that war crimes are not going to go unpunished, even if you are a powerful state actor or you're a powerful leader of a state. So really interesting news, I think.